Hi mga ka-coordinates, it's me Sir Yong and welcome to my channel. Notice that a mango tree can only produce a mango fruit, a dog that can only produce a puppies, and a human beings can only produce an infant. The offspring always have a likeness from the parents in a certain major respect and a variation from the parents in many minor respects. Traits are transmitted from the parents to the offspring by means of information stored in the molecules called DNA. The passing of traits from the parents to the offspring are called heredity. Using the picture of Prince Charles, answer the succeeding question. What are the traits that Prince William and Prince Harry acquired from their father and mother? How were the traits passed from the parents to the offsprings? So for today's video, we are going to discuss the DNA and the protein synthesis. So this was requested by many of the STEM students. So if you are taking STEM, you better watch out. You better not cry. You better not pout. I'm telling you why. So kanina ipinakita ko sa inyo ang family picture ni Prince Charles and we notice some similarities sa kanila, most especially sa kanilang buhok. So paano kaya yun nangyari? And that is because the molecular basis of inheritance. So para lubos nating maunawaan, kailangan muna nating isa-isahin. Also, kailangan muna nating i-discuss ang DNA structure. Deoxyribonucleic acid or the DNA are usually found in the nucleus of the cell as part of the chromosome structure. So these serve as the central control because they direct and regulate the activities of the cell. The following four bases are found in the DNA: the adenine, the guanine, the thymine, and the cytosine. Adenine and guanine are compounds called purines. So kapag sinabi nating purines, double ring of carbon and nitrogen atoms po na siya. The thymine and the cytosine are a compound called pyrimidines. So ang pyrimidines, single ring of carbon and nitrogen atoms. Remember guys, purine is always paired with pyrimidine. So the number of adenine is equal to the number of thymine, while the number of guanine is equal to the number of cytosine. Therefore, adenine is always paired with the thymine, while the guanine always goes with cytosine. The Watson-Crick model of DNA molecule consists of two chains of nucleotides coiled together in the form of a double helix. The sequence of the nucleotides is the code that controls the production of all the proteins of an organism. So, paano nag-replicate ang DNA? The DNA molecules in your cells, however, can make a copy of themselves. So, this process is called replication. The DNA replicates itself so that the new cells receive the complete copies of the genetic code. So, nagre-replicate ang DNA bago ang mitosis kapag ang new cells na produce for growth and renewal sa old cells. Pwede din siyang mag-replicate bago ang first division of the meiosis so that the gamete or the sex cells receive a copy of a genetic material present in the somatic cells of the organisms. The process of DNA replication starts with the breaking of the double-stranded molecules into two separate single strands. Each strand serves as a template or a pattern for the new strand. Enzymes link the new nucleotides into the long strand. Each completed DNA molecule contains one old and one new strand. The whole process of protein synthesis is made possible by the action of enzymes and energy from the ATP. DNA controls protein synthesis, so it is a process by which a protein is made from the amino acids. The characteristics of any organisms are determined by its protein and ultimately by its DNA. So, pag-usapan naman natin ngayon ang protein synthesis. So, the protein synthesis takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell structure called ribosomes. But remember guys, the DNA molecules do not leave the nucleus to control the production of protein. Instead, the other type of nucleic acid called the RNA or the ribonucleic acid act as the messenger between the DNA and the ribosomes and carries out protein synthesis. So bago tayo mag-proceed doon sa protein synthesis process, so kailangan ko muna i-discuss sa inyo ang RNA structure para maintindihan nyo ang mga terms na gagamitin natin sa protein synthesis process. So we need to discuss first the RNA structure. RNA is very similar with DNA. So for example, the three bases, namely the adenine, the guanine, and the cytosine, are present in the RNA. However, RNA has a uracil instead of thymine. So the uracil always pair with the adenine and the guanine always pair with the cytosine. So, para madaling maunawaan ang pagkakaiba ng DNA and the RNA, so gagamit tayo ngayon ng mnemonics para sa kanilang nitrogenous base. Ang nitrogenous base ng DNA are the GCAT, the guanine, cytosine, adenine, and the thymine. And the mnemonics naman para sa nitrogenous base sa RNA are the GCAU, which is the guanine, cytosine, adenine, and the uracil. RNA is a single-stranded molecule. So there are three kinds of RNA. The mRNA or the messenger RNA, the tRNA or the transfer RNA, and last is the rRNA or the ribosomal RNA. The keyword of the mRNA is to carry the sequence of nucleotides that serve as the code of the protein from the nucleus to the ribosomes. Pagkatandaan na, carries the sequence of nucleotides. The keyword naman ng tRNA is to pick up individual amino acids in the cytoplasms and then bring them into the ribosomes. So, in the ribosomes naman, the rRNA bind the mRNA and the tRNA together and consequently joins together the amino acids in a proper order to form or to make the proteins. So there are two processes that involve in the protein synthesis, the transcription and the translation. The process by which the messenger RNA is copied by the DNA molecules is called transcription. Segment of the DNA separates from the helix and serves as a template to make a molecule of the mRNA. The mRNA nucleotides in the nucleus bind to their complementary nucleotides on the active strands of DNA. The sequence of the bases in mRNA is determined by the order of bases in DNA. For example, if the DNA has the following base sequence, AGC, TAC, GCA. Again, ano nga yung A? Adenine. G, guanine. T, thymine. C, cytosine. So the example is the AGC, TAC, and the GCA. So the complementary mRNA base sequence would be, ano yung part na ng A? Mali, hindi thymine kasi mRNA na tayo so RNA. So instead na thymine, papalitan natin ng uracil. So the partner of A is uracil or the U. The complementary mRNA base sequence of the AGC, TAC, and the GCA would be UCG, AUG, and CGU. The mRNA code is a series of 3 letters or base called a codon. For every protein, the codon AUG, which calls for the amino acid methionine, is the start signal. Other codons do not stand for any amino acid. They are stop codons. that signal RNA to stop synthesizing proteins. The next process is translation. So the messenger RNA moves into the cytoplasms through a pore in the nuclear membrane. Ribosomes attach to the messenger RNA to carry out the formation of the protein through the process of translation. This process translates the RNA base sequence into the amino acid sequence protein. One end of the tRNA attaches to its amino acid. The other end of the tRNA contains a sequence of 3 bases that complement the triplet code on mRNA. The sequence of the 3 bases on the tRNA is called the anticodon. Translation begins at an AUG codon. As each codon is indicated, the tRNA with the complementary anticodon binds to the mRNA. In this way, amino acids are placed in the proper sequence to make a certain protein. And that is translation. So to sum it up, the protein synthesis begins with the process of transcription, wherein the DNA is copied into an mRNA. This followed by the process of translation, wherein the code carried by the mRNA is used in producing protein with correct sequence. And that is the DNA and the protein synthesis. I hope you've learned a lot on this video, and if you like this video, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell for the updates. Goodbye mga chordates, and see you sa ating next vlog.
Ooh.